Alright, so this video is diving a little deeper into something that caught my eye while I was looking into ancient weapons in One Piece, and how they connect to some things I'm talking about in my future videos, and this topic was something I had to share. Basically, I realized Queen Otohime was a savage, and no, I don't mean the disgusting way that they refer to Fishman in One Piece. I mean Otohime is a straight up gangster from the hood, knows what's up, she saw a guarantee and capitalized on it. And why am I saying this? It's because of this unexplained week that went by where Otohime left by herself with the Celestial Dragon to speak with the nobles to charter a peace treaty accepting Fishman into the surface world. I remember when I watched this the first time, my heart sank. I had no trust in the Celestial Dragons in the above world. It made no sense for her to go up to the surface alone and try to negotiate. She even says herself that she has to go and be a dainty, weak-looking Fishman representative for them to receive the message. That Fishmen weren't to be feared. I knew One Piece wasn't this kind of anime like Redo Healer, but it still wasn't an anime, especially by this point, that didn't have its dark side, so I expected it to go sour. And in hindsight, after seeing the last Reverie where this happened to Shirahoshi, despite it being a gathering of worldwide royalty, I don't think I was wrong in thinking this way. I expected what happened to Shirahoshi to happen to Otohime, and I mean, it makes sense why. The Saburi auction house was the last example of this kind of interaction between a celestial dragon and a female mermaid. We saw how absolutely nuts St. Charlos went for Kami. He dropped 500 million berries on his first bid, which at the time equated to both Law and Luffy's bounty combined. So if that was how a celestial dragon behaved seeing a regular mermaid, and then on top of that this line that St. Roswell says about gutting and stuffing the mermaids that he buys, this is actually blood-boiling stuff, and so it's understandable that when Otohime suggested that she would go alone to the surface to a group of nobles like these people, it sounded absolutely ridiculous. I fully expected her to become a slave, for these traumatic things to happen to her, and for the story to spiral out. I remember in my head thinking, no, please no, not like this. But then a week went by and she came back. Unscathed. The whole time I was treating this like an SVU episode, like, oh no, she's just hiding the pain. But no, from all the series of events that led to her death, it felt like she actually had no traumatic event that would have came up later in the story. All things were fine, and honestly the story didn't really let you rest, because after she came back it just went into a roller coaster of emotions, so you never really got a full chance to really think about this. So Otohime went to presumably Marijois and negotiated with the Celestial Dragons for peace and acceptance for Fishman Island. Just think again about how ridiculous that sounds. How would she even do that? But she did it! She comes back with this announcement. I too approve of friendship between fishmen and humans as stated in the petition. How could she possibly get this agreement within 1 week, especially if this is how the celestial dragon she is escorting back is behaving? Yes, Otohime could have done many things. She could have used Naruto's talking jutsu, but let's be honest, I don't think even Naruto could reform any celestial dragon, even this one, that quickly, to the point where like such an ingrained view of the world was turned on its head. Like you can't reform a racist that fast. If it were that easy to solve racism, it wouldn't be a global issue even in our world. Otohime knows the true solution is to not teach children hate and discrimination, and to not indoctrinate children to the same world that they grew up in. That being said, I know exactly what she said. It was this line that made me realize what she had did. After Otohime returned to Fishman Island after getting the World Nobles peace agreement, she explained to her sons what sparked her courage. She says, at that moment, I felt a surge of courage. I knew this island could really change. Her sons ask, at what moment? She explains when the Neptunians came to the island, Shirahoshi summoned them, and then she goes on to explain Shirahoshi's power and the legend that was passed down from previous royal generations. She does not name the power to her kids, but it's clear she knows what she is talking about. We can tell she knows she is talking about the ancient weapon Poseidon, a weapon that could save thousands, but if used maliciously, it could sink the entire world. It is a formidable power that can be utterly destructive. The line here is really important. Her son says, then we hope it will be great help to you, mother, referencing her endeavors to get Fishman Island to live under the sun. And she responds, yes, I'm sure it will. Now wait a second, she just said she plans on using the ancient weapon? Like yes, she didn't explicitly say it, but yeah, she basically says the ancient weapon will come in handy in transforming the island. And then it hit me, like, oh, she did not go up to Marriageois and talk to the world nobles as a weakling with no cards to play. She went up there literally strapped. She probably played good cop and then threatened to sink the world cop. And then you go back to the line, she herself, the moment she saw Shirahoshi display that power, it gave her the courage to do what she did. And you think about the letter from the Celestial Dragons that she got, I too approve of friendship between Fishman and humans as stated in the petition. That sounds like something written by a hostage at gunpoint. It's just like the bare minimum to get the point across. So to just reiterate, she straight up thug life went to the Celestial Dragon and said, listen you scumbag waste of skins, you sign this paper or else I will use the ancient weapon Poseidon on you. And when the response is, what is she talking about? She's bluffing, they don't have anything like that. That's where luckily she has mjosgard as a witness to the summons of all the Sea Kings. But the important note here, and this is where this idea can go two ways, mjosgard probably did not know that Shirahoshi was the ancient weapon. Because if you think about it, if the world government knew who or what the ancient weapon was, then they would just manhandle Fishman Island to get it. But they were probably only told that Fishman Island can command Sea Kings, and had mjosgard confirm that detail. So it's kind of like how our world works, where as a nation you literally have almost no clout unless you have a nuke or are allied with a nuclear country. Shirahoshi is the nuke here, and the world government doesn't know where the nuke is. They just know and respect the nuke. And once Otohime realized she had a nuke, she realized she could use that as leverage against the world to forge her peace treaty. And that is probably how she did the unfathomable feat of being able to get this document with only 1 week's time despite all the odds working against her. It makes so much sense if she used a threat to achieve her end goal, because again, in only 1 week to solve racism with the Celestial Dragons? Nah, no chance, I don't think so. But also, because I was focusing on the Gorosei, I had another interesting point that came up. And this part more so is just like a what if, but the scene that came to mind with all of this in context was the Reverie scene where the new reformed mjosgard saved Shirahoshi from St. Charlos. Now yes, Otohime could have reformed this man with one speech in 1 week's time. He could have honestly just been the Celestial that wrote the document. But unless you believe my Sanji soul cleansing theory, which is plausible here because I connected Sanji to Otohime in that sense, mjosgard even said Otohime gave him humanity with her speech. But to change him that much, is that even possible? To me, it doesn't make sense that the Celestial Dragon would have possibly the fastest and most drastic character development in all of fiction, but if you put everything I said before into context here, this makes way more sense. The reason why mjosgard devoted all of his resources to King Neptune might be because he knows that Fishman Island possesses the ancient weapon. If you rethink this whole scene with the idea that he knows they have an ancient weapon, it gives it crazier context, and he could have just stopped St. Charlos, saved Shirahoshi, and just scolded the others, but he knocked St. Charlos out cold. And then he gave King Neptune everything, all of his power and resources. So you gotta think, what was happening at the time? Shirahoshi was crying. You know who might have PTSD from Shirahoshi crying? mjosgard. Look at him, the last time she cried, and then think about what happened when she cried. This man was probably terrified of the Sea King showing up at the Holy Land. And then I was thinking, wait a moment, can the Sea Kings even affect the Holy Land? It's kind of high up. I mean, it's said that they can sink the world, but like, they'd have to destroy the Red Line here to save Shirahoshi. Are they capable of that? Probably all of them combined could do it. But then the other thought that I had was, what if the Holy Land was put where it was to protect them from the ancient weapon Poseidon, and Fishman Island was located so far under the sea, possibly to protect them from the ancient weapon Uranus? And then I just realized how many parallels there are between Fishman Island and the Holy Land. But anyways, if you thought this video was interesting, make sure to share it around. Thank you for listening and connecting with me. Like always, I'm looking forward to connecting with you all on the next Parvision.